Hey, you know what? I figured out Trump.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's the neediest guy in the world. Like, he's really needy. And he really needs this to be president more than anything. And we're all going to vote for him because we're a generous country and we help people that are in need.
Maybe he just wants to give back. You ever think of that, you cynical chimp?
No, he can't do that. He cannot give back. That's going to make his hole way deeper. Do you understand that? Google Trump charity, okay? All it's going to come up is, some teenager blowing a black eye, which is what everything connects to. But Trump has a president hole. Get it? Nothing short of the presidency is going to fill that hole. And he's going to get it like he got that $10 billion. Because when he got the $10 billion, it didn't fill his hole. He went, oh my God, there's still more hole. And my many Russian war brides aren't filling it. And, saying hi to my doorman's not filling it. And my stupid show, I get to tell Penn Jillette what to do. That didn't fill it. I need to be the leader of the free world, and everyone has to love me. Like he knows what his hole is, and he's going for it, you see? And America, because we're good, we're going to help him.
Okay, so we're all going to vote for Trump because he's hurting, he's in pain. We're actually going to let him be our president to be nice or kind or something?
Yeah, like Bat Boy. Remember Bat Boy? We're all in on it.
What was Bat Boy?
The kid with cancer, and he wanted to be Batman, so the whole city was like, you're Batman.
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta, where Mayor Kasim Reed never stops by the righteous room, it's the 9 billion names of pod. Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman. I'm going to fill up all these glasses with water. It's really important. So let's talk about some stuff. All right, yeah, we gotta go a little time warp and go back to a subject we just talked about. Because existential angst, ennui, and nothing is ever going to be good ever again, never. And maybe it will be, but something horrible will happen to you before you decide. Yeah, No, we're not talking about Nick Dukowski. We're talking about Horace and Pete. I hope he hears that.
Tortured by cats. No, he doesn't even listen to the episodes that he's on.
He's on, right?
Yeah. That's okay.
Yes, Horace and Pete. Okay, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Massive spoiler alert.
Wait for it. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about it in great detail because, spoiler alert, episode 10 seems to be the final episode.
That's it.
Of the run. And
we thought, how long is this going to go? And now we know.
Well, I guess it was episode 5 that he had the end of Act 1 card. Was it at the end of one of the episodes there was an end of Act 1 card?
I thought that was a little bit earlier in the series, like around episode 3 or 4.
Yeah,
because he kind of played around with it, like here's an intermission,
right.
Here's end of Act 1, but yeah, apparently it's over.
Right.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to episode, like some of the earlier episodes.
Yeah, episode 5. I think the last time we spoke about the
I'd watched either 4 or 5. Yeah,
right. This is no, you hadn't watched 5.
That's right. I'd watched, I think, 4.
4.
Yeah,
because what happens in episode 5, we find out that Uncle Pete killed himself.
Yes. Out of the blue, they come walking in.
I see them in their best. I said,
right
somebody
away.
Has died. I looked at the crowd and went, "Oh fuck, Uncle Pete."
Yeah.
So, and we didn't find out that he killed himself until a later episode when someone said that's why he killed himself. Like they were making assumptions.
Did they? I thought they did. Thought they did say it.
Nope.
Okay.
Not that. I mean, I may be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking, so he's dead. Why did he die? Did somebody?
Did he just drop dead?
Yeah. I mean, they let it, at the very least, they let it hang out there for a while. Maybe they let it be clarified later in the episode, but I think it was the next one.
Yeah.
But anyway, Uncle Pete went up and killed himself.
Yeah.
Which I did not see that coming.
No.
I mean, I thought he pretty much lived on nothing but piss and vinegar and fuck you and your mother too,
and only Budweiser.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and no mixed drinks.
No mixed drinks.
Yeah. And in that episode 5, we know that Horace's sister Sylvia
Yeah.
has cancer, and at this point, she is not knowing how to pay for it and wants to sell the bar because this is prime Brooklyn real estate.
Yep.
And we already discussed the air rights where,
You build
tear
up.
the building down to the ground and then build something 20,000 stories higher.
Yeah.
Because, the air rights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
So basically, New York and eventually Atlanta is going to get gentrified right under God's feet. He's
Yeah.
going to be, the spires of the building are going to be like a shiatsu massage on the soles of his feet because they're building it as tall as they possibly can.
Yeah, the Empire State will be condos eventually, or everything will be that high.
Yeah, it'll be. So Sylvia comes back home,
Right. She
which
goes,
is a big step for her.
we
because
will learn later. Yeah.
We will learn later how very unpleasant it was her growing up there.
Right.
But she comes back, and really the whole concept of selling the bar kind of gets put on the back burner.
It still pops up every now and again, but it's not her primary
Right, because you thought,
motivation.
Edie Falco with her, Carmela, hey, we're
Yeah,
selling the bar, we're selling the bar. That didn't happen.
No.
She just kind of backed off it, which is good, which helped with some existential angst.
Yeah,
for
totally.
everyone else in there.
Well, it gave her something else to worry
for somebody, not for Horace. He's like, sell it, don't sell it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a squish.
Yeah, he's such a dish rag.
Yeah,
and,
it's just like
And again, later on, we find out kind of why as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, let's not get ahead of
let's
our.
not jump ahead.
Let's just say episode 10 really tied some things together
Yeah.
very nicely.
Yeah.
So what was your thoughts on Uncle Pete taking the self-inflicted dirt nap?
I didn't see it coming. It makes sense from a story perspective. It's a big left turn and a big shock that isn't seen coming. They didn't telegraph it at all. And
No.
I expected him to
Outlive everybody.
and be
Even children. It's like, fuck it, I refuse to die. He
Yeah.
punched the Reaper
Yeah.
in the face and say, go fuck yourself.
On one hand, it seems like was it? I have a very interesting theory about Uncle Pete, which
Yeah.
we may never know. Did you notice the one thing that really got to him?
Calling him a fag.
Yeah, I thought someone's gonna show up. Some guy is gonna show up and say, "I had a relationship with Pete," but it didn't. But
No.
you could see, you caught it too, right?
Right. That's
I'm
the
no
one
fag.
thing,
I'm
you
no
could,
fag is what he said all the time.
You could talk shit with Pete. I mean, he might get a little grouchy, but man, he stopped and looked straight at you like,
Yeah.
I'm not a fag. Like they'll be going back and forth, like, yeah, you're such a this
Back
and you're
and
that,
forth,
like
back.
that. Yeah, you're a fag, like, and boom, hey,
Yeah,
I'm not a fag. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and so that I noticed that it's very. It seemed almost like Hunter S. Thompson-esque. Like he was going out on his own terms. They didn't.
But see, here's the thing. I mean, objectively, Uncle Pete, he took the money when he wanted, he worked when he wanted, and maybe things they seemed okay. He wasn't sick, but maybe he just woke up one day like John Boehner and said, yep, today's the day. I'm gonna.
Well, think about this. Here's another theory. What changed? What changed previously? What information had been distilled or exposed?
Well, that was 2 episodes back,
Right.
About the parentage of the
Pete.
current Pete.
Yeah, maybe
It got to him.
it got to him. I mean, we'll never know. We'll never know unless Louis breaks it down for us. But
Well, no, because in talking with it, like, wait, I'm like, it's nothing, whatever. He's just like, I don't give a fuck. It seemed to dismiss it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that people that are blustery and stuff don't have a deep inner life, but I never got the feeling that Uncle Pete was a great thinker,
no, but again, not to jump ahead,
Yeah.
when we get to
Right.
episode 9 or the first half of 10,
first half of 10. First half of 10. We learn a bit about
the family,
right.
But it seemed like Uncle Pete was, they retell the story again, not jump ahead, but they retell the story of Horace peeing his pants on the baseball field, the same way Alan Alda did, which was wonderful. Again, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
But it seemed to me he was like very proud of young Pete and how he was.
Because that was his blood,
right? But
Horace
that's what I'm
was
saying.
Not exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
And of course,
maybe now that he knew, maybe now he started to feel regret of not.
And of course, maybe not being so proud because let's face it, his son, the current Pete, he's a bit of a mess. I mean, if the guy doesn't have his
part of it,
if the guy doesn't have his drugs, which we will get to in a little bit, things go off the rails.
Right.
Now, one of the things that I found really interesting about the episode with the wake in it is that after Uncle Pete dies, we lose Marcia.
Yeah, she never came back.
Nope, I thought she would, but she never did.
Yeah,
essentially. After
she was
the
in
wake,
that one episode with
she was with them when they came back from the wake,
right?
But then in conversation, it was listen, we don't know you anything, and she said, you know what, you're right, because Uncle Pete, he's no longer here, and he was the last person that was, you don't have to give me anything,
right?
And then he said, yeah, get the hell out. And she just left, and that was it.
Yeah.
She didn't come back. She didn't try to press a claim. She just faded off into
she didn't have a claim. She had
just
kind of messed around with
she had no legal
Horace
claim.
Senior.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Which we find out was,
Yeah.
We find out who plays him a little bit later. But,
We'll get to that.
We got some flashbacking to do.
Yeah.
But I found that very interesting that, this is a big name and, she lasted one more episode than Alan Alda did.
Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, she is a very big name, so I'm sure her scheduling was tough.
Right.
But still.
And of course, in talking about, things that are going on with the bar and the family, current Pete, Steve Buscemi's character, basically begs them, don't sell the bar. Previously he said, I'll be fine. You can sell the bar, whatever you want. I'll do, he's like, no, I need this place.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe things will get better. I gotta.
It kept him grounded.
Exactly. Well, if you've, we all like our routines to one degree or another.
Right.
And some people rely on them far more than others do.
Yeah, especially if you've got some issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've already established that if Pete doesn't take his Probital, within about 36 hours, he's seeing monsters and it gets
worse.
Gets pretty bad. And it's going to get bad.
Yeah.
Where it gets really bad is now that Uncle Pete's not there, apparently there's a word that cannot be said in the bar anymore, or Sylvie will take your neck out.
What was that? I don't remember. What was it?
It's the C word.
Oh, yeah.
She'll any other word is fine. You say she kicked someone, a regular.
Yeah.
I think it was Nick DiPaolo, actually.
It wasn't Nick DiPaolo.
Was it Nick?
No, it wasn't Nick. It was another comic, but
and it's like, you're out, gone.
Yeah.
And she enforced it. She made sure he, it wasn't just, he was looking to Horace going, come on, like, hey. Again, complete squish, like, whatever.
Well, you might
just come back tomorrow. Just go for now. And then we get to Pete dating.
Yeah.
Pete goes on an internet date.
Yep.
With a girl who is easily half his age.
Oh, easily, yeah. She was...
Not because he misrepresented himself.
Right, she did.
She did,
yeah.
because she likes dating older guys.
Yep. That was the episode that almost made me bail.
Well, the date itself didn't make you bail. What happened after?
Well, the first 20 minutes of the date was miserable because in that episode, he goes on this blind date or this internet date, and the entire time he's like, "Why are you here? What's your angle?" He's and honestly, I don't blame him in a certain way. You know what I mean? He's a very weird looking guy, Steve Buscemi. You gotta admit that.
He's just as handsome as Rico Kasich from the Cars now. What are you saying?
But they pressed upon that like she was a very beautiful young
I think
woman.
said she was 28.
28, yeah, and he's 50 something.
Easily.
Easy, 55.
Early to mid
54,
50.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's a little bit older than Horace, who's 48. He keeps saying he's 50, but he's 48.
Yeah, he's 50 something though.
Right. So
sure.
he's easily between 50 and 55.
Right.
And
And he was totally walls up. Why are you here? What are you doing?
Right.
What what is
well,
the
that'd
point
be the
of all
equivalent
this?
if, like, if I went on a date and it turns out it's an 18-year-old, be like, why?
Why
Huh?
would you? Yeah. Why would you lie about?
It's like, no, it's that, yeah. So,
And she finally got to him that she liked him and that she liked older men and and he finally gave her a shot and it leveled off until
the family dinner.
the family dinner, which was the point that I was about to say I can't do this anymore because it was the most miserable. Like they just would. Horace and Sylvia would not give this girl an inch, a millimeter. They were awful.
Very skeptical and like, what is your... Basically, she had to go through the same thing she went with Pete because Pete said it's all good, but they didn't believe it.
Right.
And they're like, so what about this?
Why
What about
are you
that?
here? And but I mean, as awful as they are to each other, they were like teamed up against this girl because Sylvie was the one who was just hammering, and Horace was being Horace.
Well, Horace actually grew a mini backbone for a half a second and said, I'm going to say it. And then Sylvie said, no.
yeah.
And then Sylvie said, do you know that he is, freshly out of a lunatic asylum?
Right,
And he
right,
has
right.
mental issues, has had them since his childhood, and he has to take a drug, and if he doesn't take it, it's all over. And in that conversation, just prior to this revelation from Sylvia, he had mentioned, be easy, this is the woman I love. He said the L word.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know what time, it may have...
It wasn't very long.
No, it was not long between that first date and this family dinner.
Yeah.
But apparently, at least it had been a little bit of time.
A few weeks. I'm sure.
I don't know about you, but, there is love at first sight, but it's more like extreme lust, and then hopefully it is love, And you know what I mean?
I do, but if you think about his miserable life, and he's 55,
He's grabbing wherever he can.
He found something good, and he wasn't going to let go.
Exactly.
Until his
then...
goddamn family.
Well, if he really wanted to preserve it, he wouldn't have let
Near
her
her
within
at all.
a million miles of the family.
But
But he lives there.
and they're very family oriented.
Yeah. So that conversation was just...
It was miserable. It was absolutely miserable.
It's and then Sylvia's like, it's okay, it's fine. She's leaving, and she actually on her way out, she had gave an earful to Horace, and Sylvia's like, you have treated him absolutely. You were just, who are you people? You are the worst.
Right.
And she actually kind of said, come on, Pete, let's go. And he was just sitting there, and she goes, okay. And then she bolted, and that's the last we saw of her.
Right.
Because, what they said was true. I mean, they didn't lie.
No.
But they presented it in the worst way possible, and it should have come from him at a certain point.
In a certain way. Yeah, it should have come... That's his information.
That's his information to give on a soft pillow rather than a sledgehammer upside the head.
Right, look, I have some problems and we need to discuss some things, as opposed to, do you know that our brother / cousin is crazy,
Yeah, it's just
it was so bad. And then it was like the ending of that episode, like over the credits, they just sat and finished
they just finished eating their meal like nothing had happened.
And that was the problem I was having with a lot of this, was that they're just miserable fucking people, and they're just gonna drag everybody down with them, is really how it seemed to me. And that's why I was like, why am I doing this?
It's like listening to Morrissey lyrics and Pink Floyd and thinking about All My Lost Pets all in one episode. Just
right.
Yeah. And of course, I love that shit.
I do, to a degree.
See, Horace and Pete is the style of writing that I like and that I, for the most point, do. Not the depressing necessarily part, but the slice of life thing.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the stuff that I write, it doesn't have a point or a moral. It's like, here is a day in the life of this person, or this happened to this person. And here it is. Not like he struggled against it and the moral of the story.
Yeah.
None of that. Fuck all that
Yeah,
shit.
I've watched a lot of movies and felt like I could just watch these characters be themselves, as opposed to there has to be some conflict that they have to resolve and some, revelation or whatever.
And that's why you loved Magnolia.
No.
See, Magnolia is, now there's definitely some evolution a bit within these characters to one degree or another, a little bit, but essentially it literally is a slice of life. It is one day in Los Angeles. So that's what that kind of writing, that kind of sensibility, let's face it, think of one person in that film that was happy and all was well. Not one.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
Miserable fucking people to one degree or another, all the way from incest to being a closeted gay quiz kid that can't find love. I mean, there's degrees of just miserableness.
Right. And
I loved it. I lapped that shit up. See?
yeah.
It's a heavy concept. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a little too precious with itself. Magnolia is.
Right.
And I could see.
I had different issues, but that's a whole other
well,
thing.
we will
maybe episode 100 of this podcast.
We will torture you with.
I will sit and watch it, and we'll finally have it out.
Excellent, wonderful. Because a lot of times, I mean, there are films that I have watched like 1,000 times, and I introduce it to somebody, and I know you've seen Magnolia, but you introduce it to somebody, and because you're watching it hoping that they like it, or you see different things in the film because you're watching it with a different frame of mind.
Absolutely. Well, that kind of happens with any film. I mean, when you bring another person into, it's like it's like a scientific experiment where the observation changes the outcome.
Exactly.
When you bring someone in, you're watching it not the way, if I sit and watch Star Wars, I'm watching it a certain way. If there are other people in the room, I'm watching it a different way.
Right.
So it does kind of change.
And part of that watching is stapling your mouth shut so you don't ad-lib all the lines.
Yeah, I just don't say them out loud. My mouth moves and
exactly. But anyway, back to Horace and Pete. This is the slice of life shit. This is why Horace and Pete to me is absolute fucking genius.
It is.
I love the writing.
The issue I have with it is it's almost like abusing these poor characters because nothing good ever happens except on the next episode. A little bit.
Oh, what is okay?
Isn't the episode after that the one where Horace meets the lady in the bar?
Yes. And that's kind of good, but even that has its own little interestingness to it.
Right.
So Horace, it's already been introduced earlier in the series that Horace really just needs to get laid. He called up that old the former waitress, and he was too much of a sad sack to she was turned off. And, I distinctly remember being like, I didn't sleep with you because you were attractive. I slept with you because you were fun. I'm like, hey, there's hope for me with every girl. Yay, I can be fun. But now he meets another girl at the bar.
Well, for the first 25 minutes of the episode, there's a lady at the bar who's just crying.
Right.
And the rest of the episode is happening around that. It's not a point.
And also within that first bit, Pete talks to one of his friends on the the mayor's detail,
right?
And says,
a police officer.
Can you get Mayor De Blasio to come in here because this is 100-year-old? He's trying to get the bar listed or registered as a landmark, so Sylvie couldn't sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, I'll do my best. 'Cause you see, Pete is, in the previous episode, he was like, things are going bad. I may lose where I live.
Yeah.
and he does not want to go back to back to treatment, back to the mental,
hospital,
and he doesn't know what's going on. Now, of course, running through this ever since maybe about an episode or so into the series, we've talked about, I can't remember the girl's name, but the girl with Tourette's, the one that Pete met in treatment, keeps coming around.
Yep.
And she's going to figure in a little bit later. But he's kind of clinging to anything he can. 28-year-old who likes me? Okay, sure, I'm there. Please don't kick me. He's de Blasio. Get him in here. Let's, he's seeing the writing on the wall going, I'm going to be in very bad shape if something doesn't happen.
And you got to give him credit for being proactive. And,
absolutely.
And actually,
well, apparently when he's on the Propital, he's fine.
Yep.
No problems at all.
Yep.
We've seen, well, we haven't seen him off the Propital except a little bit, but the whole thing, I need to bridge 3 days or something where I can't get my pills, lock me in my bedroom and do not let me out, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so that tells us that he's dangerous.
Yeah.
He's dangerous when he's not on the Propital. But after this conversation with the cop, we notice that Horace starts chatting up a girl named Rhonda, played by Karen Pittman. And she's I'd say probably early to mid-40s African-American lady.
Yeah,
I'd say
something like
roughly
that.
about that.
Yeah.
And
she's the one who was crying at the bar.
Crying at the bar. And, of course, that pulls Horace right in.
I know that's kind of funny about it. Is he goes right for the person more miserable than him.
Exactly. It's like, hey, if I can bring you up to my level of misery, you'll feel better because And they have a little bit of banter, and he admits, yes, I live upstairs. I'd like to take you upstairs and make it a sex with you. Mm-hmm. He makes the sex with her.
He does. He closes the deal.
He closes the
speak.
deal, and we thankfully do not have a
Louis
sexy
C.K. Horace sexy.
No, that would be too out of place in this series.
Yeah.
I think that would have been just absolutely horrible on so many levels.
Yes.
Not that chubby, pasty guys in their 40s aren't just the bomb or anything like that. I'm just saying, no one really wants to see that.
Yeah.
But the conversation in the morning is where it gets very interesting.
Yes.
She's looking to bolt, and he's like, "Come on, have some breakfast."
Eggs,
yeah, come on, yeah. And she's like, "Okay."
He finally wears her down.
Yeah. And throughout their breakfast conversation, it is brought up,
heavily inferred, implied
that she may be trans.
Yes.
Now,
Post-op.
obviously, yes. And it kind of bothered Horace, but didn't. But he kind of wanted. He wanted to know, but it's like, and it was never conclusively stated.
No,
and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, because on a lot of levels, because if she was, she is a woman. If she's a woman, yeah.
I mean, there's not like I used to be a man, now I'm a woman. No, if you're a woman.
But was it just a test?
I think she was just kind of needling him, because either she is trans and wanted to feel out the situation, like maybe this could be something. So you cool like that, or I just like to fuck with people.
Yeah, and you don't really ever find out.
Yeah,
like was she once a man?
No.
Or was she
and you know
just
what?
Messing with him?
It doesn't make any difference.
No, it doesn't. But it was a really interesting...
Yeah, it basically put out there some conversations that happen in the world and that are more open and out there now that, we've gotten, gay marriage is happening. Now the trans community is going... We're people too.
Yeah.
Let's bring us up to, and like as well it should be.
Yeah.
So that's
and there are people who would do that, like would start that conversation just to see what happened. Like,
oh yeah, exactly.
Just
or like that would be like me going like, yeah, I think I'm going to vote for Trump. Now I ain't going to vote for Trump, but maybe I just want to see what their reaction would be, if for no other reason, just to see if they're tolerant of other people's views or whether they lunge forward with a knife and go, "Heathen, you must die."
Or they pat you on the back and say, solidarity.
Oh,
brother.
thank God. And like, well, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's-
Just,
you can really gauge a person by someone.
Exactly.
It's again.
yeah, who they vote for, definitely.
Right.
It's a window. It doesn't say everything.
But the trans thing, it was definitely
Yeah.
an extreme example, but why not? You
yeah,
know,
and
really
and
test.
Horace was like, he was bothered by it, that the question, but then
he kind of
he wanted an answer, but not enough to be like, I have to have an answer, give it to me. It was
No.
more like, are you? Like,
if it
maybe?
was, he did. I think he did say if she was, it would bother him, But then at the end, after she leaves and Sylvie comes home, he does say something to the fact that, oh, I may have slept with a guy last night, and jokes it off. So I guess he
But
wasn't.
but see, that's insulting because he didn't.
No, he
whether
slept with a woman.
whether the person was trans or not trans, you slept with a woman.
Right.
I mean, I'm guessing that if you're playing around with anatomy down there in the course of sex, you pretty much are gonna know.
Yeah.
If there's a penis there, then that tells you one thing.
Yes.
And if there's a vagina there, that tells you that thing.
Right.
So whether it used to be a penis and now a vagina, does it really make any fucking difference?
No, that is a woman.
Yeah. I mean, it might make family get-togethers awkward if the family is, but we're getting too far afield.
Yeah. We're going.
But no, hey, I'm 100% on the gay rights and the trans rights. Not extra rights, just equal, same as everybody else.
Of course.
That's all.
And what I did like I said, that previous episode with the dinner party was so miserable. It was nice to see Horace have a little tiny bit of happiness.
Fun and a little playfulness because
Yeah.
Rhonda didn't needle him come on. It was more like fun, maybe not.
Yeah, it was a nice little tennis match.
Yeah, and remember I told you that's just go to the next
You did, you
episode.
did.
It's much lighter. It's on a Horace and Pete scale, it is lighter. It goes from absolute the worst to not too bad.
Yeah, that's about the best you hope for in that bar.
Yes, and of course, when Sylvia comes in and he makes that comment, we also find out that she is cancer-free now.
That's right.
So, or good news. I mean, either she's either in remission or it's shrinking or tumors are shrinking. I can't remember exact wording was, but the prognosis is really good.
Yeah.
So she's not, dying. Which of course they never put it out there that yeah, she's probably going to die. But they said that even Adie Bryant, Horace's daughter, said, "Oh, I've known about it. She'll be fine." Because there's certain cancers you get okay,
It's just treatment.
and
yeah.
you get treatment and you're fine. Then there's some where you really got to battle hard. Yep. Apparently this was the previous kind where it's all right, it happened, you got the cancer, but we're going to do this, and you'll be fine. It's 90% come back from this, so you should be fine. So that episode ends on a somewhat positive note.
Yeah.
I mean, cancer, but you'll be okay. It's that's about as positive as you're going to get on Horace and Pete. There's this horrible thing that's not as horrible as you thought, so Horace and Pete time.
Yeah.
Then we get to episode 8, and basically Horace's girl, Rhonda, they continued to see each other, at least through this episode. She kind of faded away.
Yeah.
We didn't really see an exit of her, but she was there in the morning when Sylvie had her guy over. Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Don't you remember Harold?
You know what? I don't know.
Played by Reggie Caffey?
Yeah.
Kathy?
Yeah, he was in the
voice.
Yeah.
He was more prominently known who he was in episode 10, which we'll get to. But basically, both Sylvie and Horace got lucky, and in the morning they're out there, and the object of their affection kind of looked at each other and went, because Harold is African American, and so is Rhonda.
Yeah,
and Horace and Sylvie are they are the Caucasian persuasion,
as white as you get.
Oh yeah.
White
the
Irish.
only whiter you could get is probably Jim Gaffigan.
Yes,
that's translucent white,
just about.
So there's a little bit of fun, playful banter with that. Which all right, we're starting off kind of fun.
Yep.
And then Horace takes Pete to the doctor's office. And
I think I might not have seen that episode. I think I may have skipped that episode.
What?
No, did we see the doctor's office?
We saw the doctor's office because that's one of the big things about Horace and Pete. There's not a lot of set changes. You've got the upstairs bedroom, the downstairs bedroom, the living room, and the bar.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. There's nothing happens outside. Well, I take that back. He went walking with his daughter in the park at one point and sat on a bench.
Yeah.
So there's
not much.
Yeah, 90% of the show is in the bar itself.
Okay.
But the doctor tells Pete that he's going to have to go back to the mental hospital because the drug that he's been taking that levels him out and keeps him totally fine, it has been proven to cause liver damage over the long term, and they're no longer going to prescribe it.
Okay.
So, does this ring a bell at all?
No, I think I did. I must have skipped one.
Wow.
I must have missed one. So, okay, that answers a lot of questions for me. Okay, so keep going.
Oh,
keep
wow.
going.
So I'm educating you on this.
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Okay,
please.
all good. So Pete is absolutely just this is not a good thing because we all know what happens to Pete when he doesn't have his Probital.
Yep.
We've had some hints at some violence. Remember the broomstick that he kept waving around because
he kept seeing snakes.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
So you never know exactly. It's kind of like with LSD. Your surroundings affect how the drug makes you feel and see things. So for him, it's like when his psychosis comes on, you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So Pete has that to think about, and we come back to the bar, and our good friend Kurt, played by
Kurt Metzger,
he talks about how he likes to take LSD, and after taking it, he believes that computers will eventually take over the world. I'm like, okay, Louis, that's he's probably right.
Yeah.
Or we'll all become cyborgs. I mean,
the whole singularity thing.
I mean, it's just one step from holding the phone in our hands to having it embedded, a chip that does all that stuff into our brains.
Yeah. That'll be happening.
Oh, exactly. And now you remember Nick DiPaolo's character.
Yes.
Do you remember him kind of talking kind of angry, flirty with a girl named Lucy?
Yeah.
Well, apparently they did sleep together.
Oh, okay.
And in this episode, they see each other for the first time, which is about a month since they did, where he never called her, contacted her, or anything. And she is drunk, and she gets abusive and angry about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And Sylvia and Horace kick her out of the bar.
Oh.
And that's the end of her.
Oh, okay.
For a bar that never seems to really be that full, the proprietors really love kicking people out,
cutting people off.
Just like, hey.
And buying free drinks.
You're playing backgammon. We don't do that shit in here. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, backgammon? That's okay. It's apparently no fun. Just sit, drink, and shut the fuck up or talk to us.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no other activities. There's no dartboard. There's no nothing going on.
There's a piano and a jukebox.
Yeah, which rarely ever gets turned on. But when it does, somebody shows up at the bar.
Yeah.
Sometime. But we'll get to that.
We're getting there.
We're going to get there.
We're getting there.
Pete really sits down and talks to Horace about going off his medication and the hallucinations, how he doesn't want to go back to the mental hospital.
Yeah.
And right about that time, Trisha shows up. This is the Tourette's girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she offers him support, and he finally just kind of like, okay, because he's been putting her off like that.
Yeah.
She's of the hospital. I don't want
that reminder.
Exactly. And of course, it's kind of disconcerting when she screams out literally, what is the worst thing you could say right now? And she will say it.
All the time.
Yeah. If there's a black person around, she'll use the N-word.
Yep.
If there's a gay person around, she'll call him a fag or, whatever the thing is. And but she doesn't mean it. It's like the little devil inside her
can't
head.
help it, yeah.
She just has to say the worst possible thing in any given moment. And he confides in her what's going on and about his thoughts about committing suicide and his fear of going back to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think's going on with Pete right now? As I've explained it, because you haven't seen the episode.
At that point, you mean?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we've already. I'm not trying to get you to give me a specific answer. I just want to hear your thoughts. I mean, there's no right answer. It just.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like plot point.
No. There will be a quiz at the end of this podcast. 70% is just barely passing.
I don't know. I mean, again, just the worst possible situations any person could be in. You know, what do? Do you take the liver damage and not?
Whoa. He doesn't have the option. That's the thing.
They're cutting him off?
That's it. The drug is proved to cause liver damage. It's done.
Oh, and there's no...
It's like people that want to use DDT to kill pests. It's been outlawed.
Oh, okay.
They're not making it. You cannot do it.
Oh,
it's been pulled by the FDA because of the liver damage. Now, the problem is with Pete, it's either possible or slight liver damage over time. They didn't quite go into the degrees of liver damage, or being a stark raving lunatic.
Yeah.
For me, I'll take some liver damage because you can transplant a liver. You can mitigate something to keep your liver healthy. You can't transplant your brain and get a new brain.
No. Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that. Wow.
So yeah, he doesn't have the option. It's not like he could go and get it on the black market. I mean, I'm sure there's some reserves of pills, but
yeah, and he does. I know he had some left, but not many.
And he tried to stretch them. Where normally he would take one every period.
Well, that's
of
what
time.
he was doing in the first episode.
Right, he was stretching it out because they changed over pharmacies, and he had to go 3 days where he wouldn't have any pills.
Yeah,
and that's where they had to lock him up and stuff like that.
So,
so Pete's got some issues. Hey, we went so long talking about Horace and Pete that I ran out of Probital, so I'm going to need to get that refilled, and we'll pick it up next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Beni Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lohner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the offices of Howard & Fine. While you're listening to this, I'm deep into the special features on the Force Awakens Blu-ray, so you enjoy. Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Check us out on dadsgarageradio.net. Watch to us on YouTube. Listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us comlink@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOZ.
Audio Primate.